Welcome to the bus home here on the Boys on the Bus podcast. I am joined by the punked up warlord. Liam, how are you?
Good, mate. Good. Nice early game this morning. Came home, sun was shining, which is nice. I am really good. Excited to try and see how you and I could steer this bus together today, Terry.
Happy days. Listen, Liam, we're going to have to get this right tonight because I don't know. Did you see what happened on Wednesday night at the start?
No, what happened? I missed it. I was on my way here.
I started the show and I wasn't on it, and the screen was just sitting empty, and it was there for about a minute, and then David Logue had to come to the rescue. But Phil was raging. Like he rang me and he's basically said I fucking ruined the show, and if I mess up one more time, I'm off the pod. So I need to stay sober, and I need to stay sensible here, and I need to make sure keep this bus between the hedges. So just let me get a wee drop of this in. Let me just for 1 second.
He looks very calm and collected and all that in the podcast, but he's like Blakey.
He called me into his office, and honestly, he said I'm on my last chance, like, and then that's it. I'm gone. And I mean, what am I going to do? There's no other pod's going to take
on
me.
The bus. How did you enjoy the game, Terry?
You cut out a wee bit there, mate.
So, how did you enjoy the game today?
I enjoyed it. It was one of those ones, Liam, after the debacle that was Wednesday night. Suddenly, Livingston at home becomes a big deal because, Celtic are on the verge of implosion at the minute, and in a way that only Celtic can do. And when you look at all the dominance that we've had over the last 20 years, the only real way that that's going to end is if we press the self-destruct button. But nobody presses the self-destruct button like Celtic do. And it was very, very, very important that we got our domestic season back on track today. And we'll go through the game because, do you know what? The first half was a bit of a hangover of a bit of a continuation of Wednesday night. It was different players, but it was same pish. Second half, a lot more polished, a lot more enjoyable. But we'll go through it. Before I bring up the lineups, Liam, we'll just do all that good stuff. So if you like the content on the Boys on the Bus, if you could give us a share, show that you care. If you want a notification every time we go live, hit that bell. Give us likes, and there is also a membership at $1.99, which gets you a little scarf beside your name and makes you stand out in the comments. I'd like to just welcome everyone who's in the comments. We've 36 live, obviously post-match, a lot of competition on the pods. Thank you to those 36. Thank you to anybody that joins later, and thank you to anybody that watches on replay. Get your comments in. Let us know what you thought about the amount of changes. Let us know what you thought about the first half performance. Any of the points that we're making. If you disagree or agree, feel free to jump into the comments, and we will keep an eye on those and bring them up as we go along. So I'm going to go for the lineup for today, Liam. So manager rang the changes. 8 changes. So Kasper Schmeichel kept his place, as did Liam Scales, as did Ben Negrin from Wednesday night. We then had Anthony Ralston in from the start, which we knew was going to happen. Dane Murray came back into the side, and a very surprising one for me was Inamura at left back, given that we were told during the week that he basically is nowhere near the level. Find that a little bit strange, but we'll touch on him again later. Bernardo comes in from cold storage for his first start. Engels back into the starting lineup, and Luke McCown gets a start as well. Negrin comes, he stays in the side, but he moves out onto that right-hand side. Myself and David spoke about this on Wednesday night, and we felt that was an option that was worth exploring. Again, we'll pick up on Benjamin Negrin's performance as we go along. Yang back in from the start on the left-hand side, and a first start for Shin Yamada. When I seen a lineup about 4 hours before kickoff that people were claiming was the leaked lineup, but I knew it was wrong straight away because it had Trusty in, and the manager told us Trusty was out for weeks, so I knew it was a lot of pish. But even that one that I seen earlier today didn't have anywhere near as many changes as this one. When I seen this one, I just went, wow. And I immediately thought, I know I was joking in the chat earlier about, was it too late to, last night I said, was it too late to cancel today's game? Just given where we were after the Kairat game and after the manager saying that Daisan had taken a knock and everything. But we got a real boost, actually. We got a real boost before kickoff when it became clear that Almeida was out for today's match. So that was kind of, I think, the spur that we needed. That was a good news story that we needed, that he wasn't going to be available. I know I'm being hard on him. Do you know what? I just long for the day when I have to come on here and go, fucking well played, Almeida. I don't see it happening this side of Christmas. But what did you think of that lineup? I was surprised by the amount of changes. I get it. I think bigger picture, what we would have been thinking, and this is where the complacency comes in, and the opportunity to cancel today's game. The manager said he never considered cancelling it, but what I felt was we would have felt we would have had a comfortable lead from Wednesday night. We may have been able to make a few changes for this game, get the points on the board, and then go and get the job done on Tuesday night. But Tuesday night has now become a 40 million shootout over 90, 120, or possibly 120 in whatever time it takes for penalty kicks. So lots and lots of changes. Did you expect to see as many of those, and what did you feel about the guys that come in?
Well, I don't know. I was actually asking for that. If you want to have change, you have to have some sort of disruption. There has to be some sort of chaos involved to signal that it's actually change. And when you've seen that team and it's out there in the lineup and all that, yeah. I mean, there's some of the guys.
Liam's internet has cut out a little bit, so I'll just give him an opportunity.
I've still got a very Champions League getting the team. So when I watched him come, yeah. So when I watched him come out and play and start playing well in that McGregor role, you know, and then I watched some of the other people that came in as well, and it looked like very much like the Aberdeen game where we played like a sort of like a B squad with a couple of regulars sprinkled in. This seemed to be like that, and it looked like most of the boys out there, and Ken will talk about that, were willing to go out there and seize that opportunity, which is something that we don't usually get when we give boys a chance like that. So it was nice to see them come out and then actually playing with something. We looked more direct. We weren't lingering on the ball as much, but we still were here and there. So yeah, overall, I was happy to see the change. Now, with it, there was hesitation as well, because it was like, all right, you're still playing Scales, who's going to be playing double duty. You know, Ingles on there. I mean, I thought they were the two poorest players that we had in that lineup. I thought everybody else looked really good, even McCowan, until he went off injured, basically. I thought Yang was lively. I thought Shin was lively. Yeah, it was the players that came on that were a surprise to see. Good to see them because they all showed up, you know. Yeah, I've seen something about them. You can see, okay, why they're in the squad.
Yeah.
You know? Or in Yamada's case, why are you not in the squad?
Patman, I hope you're joking. Do not joke. I'm a nervous wreck here. Nothing is allowed to go wrong on this pod. So Patman's saying that I'm only on audio. Please tell me you can see me.
I can see you, mate.
You're one of us is cutting out a wee bit, Liam. I'm not sure if it's me. I'm not sure if it's you. If the guys in the comments can maybe let us know.
All right, let me see.
You've been cutting out just a little bit. If I give you my take on the lineup, then some of it was self-explanatory. I mean, Schmeichel plays. Ralston had to come in. It'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. He brought the young lad Donovan on tonight. That's a necessity now. If that lad is going to be the backup, well, I mean, he's going to be the backup for Tuesday night regardless, because even if we bring in another right back, no business that we do at this stage is going to affect who can play on Tuesday. Ralston went down a couple of times today, and it was quite worrying because whilst whilst he's by far the backup to Alistair Johnson, what happens if something happens? Tony Ralston. Murray, I mean, yeah, Murray's part of the squad. The manager's made that clear, and he's going to play. Simpson Pusey must be way off, because if they're not playing Carter Vickers and Trusty's out injured, that was an opportunity for Simpson Pusey to come in and play, and he wasn't even in the squad. So, where he's at with his fitness, I don't know. He was on the bench during the week, but I think that was because you can name whoever's in your squad. It's not in your first 11. I think you can put nearly all of them on the bench. So that would have been the reason for that. But I thought today would have been an opportunity for him to come in. Inamura, I didn't expect to see Inamura. I really didn't. We'll touch on that again later. Bernardo, I'm glad that he came in. I felt he was playing sort of in the deepest role, and he was quietly effective. Engels, I thought, was decent. McKayan, a lot of endeavour. Negrin obviously had an excellent performance, and we'll touch on that. Yang just did Yang things. He looked good 1 minute and dreadful the next. And Shin, I thought Shin was quite lively. My notes for the first half are quite scant because there wasn't an awful lot happened in that first half period, Liam. I thought it was very slow, pedestrian. I talked in one of the pods around possession and how possession is not good enough. It has to be possession with intent to supply goals. And we had possession, but there was no intent to create or anything really. I really didn't see enough. There was very little goal mouth action. I don't think we really tested the keeper at all in the first half. There was the one effort where there was one effort, Yang, and the goalkeeper makes a word. He tips it onto the woodwork. But apart from that, there was nothing clear cut. Shin had a chance and he shinned it. Now, his movement, I liked his movement. At least he was mobile. At least he wasn't standing in the one place. We've heard about his pace, but I thought his work rate was good, and I thought he got into some good positions. But for me, the first half, there's not a lot to talk about. Did you see much in there to get enthused about? I was, at half time, I felt this isn't the reaction performance I was looking for. I was saying there, I don't know if you heard me. By halftime, I was thinking this isn't the reaction performance that I was hoping to get today.
Yeah, I'm sorry you cut out there a couple of times, Terry. Can you hear me right now?
Yes, I've got you.
Oh, brilliant. Okay. Yeah, I thought the way we played looked really lively in the first half. But again, as you said before, it was a game of control. There was creative moments, but there wasn't piercing moments. There wasn't moments where we got some shots on net until we felt we had control of the game. And that's always the one thing with Rodgers that really annoys me, is this control aspect of the game. Because you can win a game in the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes. You don't have to try and establish control and dominance and all that. Sometimes you can just overpower them by sheer aggression and talent. And we've certainly got that in the team at every level. And so I think that you can see that sort of starting to build today. I thought by the time we got to the second half, there was wee bits of creativity were starting to flourish in the game. There was a number of our goals that were scored because there was wee back healers, and it was just sort of running off the ball, moving, but just a little bit of risk in the creativity of the game and about setting up chances and things. And then it started really good. I think Shin's movement in the middle was what helped create a lot of the wingers to move in and fill in those spaces and dragging defenders about, which we want to be able to do with Adamida, who I assume is probably back in the Celtic Super Shop window as the mannequin, huh, Terry? So I thought they all looked really lively. I thought Yang looked great. I thought if that goal had went in, I mean, that was proper Joe Jordan, Gordon McQueen. I was mid-70s Scotland type goal. Absolutely loved the power, the air. Just unlucky to go let you get a hand on it and that. But, you know, it looked good. And it looked good, and you want to see your players taking chances, and you want to see them expressing themselves creatively and bravely and going flying into that to show that, you know, this opportunity they're getting to get into the team means something to them. And I thought, yeah, the ones that looked like they wanted an opportunity showed up tonight. So that's my biggest takeaway for the game. You know?
So first half, Liam, pretty forgettable. Second half started a lot better for me, and we get the breakthrough with Benjamin Negren. Fantastic dummy, deep inside his own half. He then goes on a bit of a slalom run. Ball then sort of makes its way. Because the sound on what I was watching was kind of a little bit hit and miss. I think it was Yang. I think it was Yang who got the shot. I might be wrong on that. I thought it was Yang. The goalkeeper makes the save and the ball breaks, and Benjamin Negren has done what all good players do, and he's followed it in, and it's a simple task of putting it in the net. But what I think was really poignant there was he was involved in that goal. He made the goal almost for himself. With the dummy was superb. It was an excellent piece of skill, and he then carried the ball deep into the Livingston half, laid it off, but didn't stop. He then kept going, and he was there anticipating where the ball was going to break to and puts the ball in the net. Really, really good goal, and very, very timely, because we didn't want to go too deep into that second half without getting a goal, because myself and David Callum McGregor talked about the anxiety that the players could feel getting around the stadium. See, if that had got to 60 minutes, 65 minutes, and it was still 0-0, you would have started to. There would have been anxious supporters all around the place, and that would have filtered through again onto the park. But we got the breakthrough, and I think the feeling for me was once we got the breakthrough, we'd probably be okay, and it turned out to be the case. It was pretty plain sailing after that. But what do you think of that goal? I was very impressed with it.
I thought the build-up was a lot better than the finish, and when you look at the build-up, you could actually see there was some creativity, and we were moving the ball forward. And I think, Terry, that started with Inamura. Inamura took that ball forward, and he took that. There was an opening in the midfield, and he spotted Negren, and he fed him that ball to get there, and he was also there available for the 1-2 as well, that allowed Negren to shift positions and run back into that better space. I think if you look back, I think Inamura's involved in all three goals that are set up, something similar to that. That it started with a forward pass coming out from our left back. And, you know, the bigger question now is like, what is it Rodgers doesn't he see in him? You know? And anyway, just going back to Negren, just the one thing. See all that? All this?
That does my head in. That does my head in. I can't be arsed with that. I really can't.
I know. Oh, it's driving me crazy. You know, I'm an old guy. It's like, come on, mate, stop that. You know, I don't think you understand what we're trying to achieve in this thing. We're not cheerleading squad. We're probably one of the most savvy supports in the world that actually know about football. So, you know, pull it in a wee bit, young guy. You know?
Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like, if the supporters aren't making enough noise, that's because they're half asleep, because you're not giving them enough to get excited about. See, and you see it every game. You see it every single game, Liam, and like world class players trying to G the crowd up. If you know, with the ability these guys have got, you know, you shouldn't need the crowd to roar to get you G'd up for it. G yourself up. Fucking go and get involved and do whatever you need to do. Honestly, it does my tits in. It really does. I just don't get it. You know what I mean? If I was saying the other night, the Celtic players didn't do their job. The Celtic board haven't done their job for years and years and years. But the part of Celtic that always do their jobs, the supporters, always do their job.
Yeah, never fail. You know, and there's times where like we've gotten that team up after us, you know, and like just the fact that they get to wear this Celtic jersey is because of the support. I mean, people like NES and all the guys that talk about playing at Celtic Park, they're only talking about playing against Gary Caldwell or, you know what I mean, Lee Naylor, you know, pick anyone. You know, maybe Larson's the exception. But that's the thing, no, they come because it's a crowd and it's a fan base. And the fact that it's a knowledgeable football supporter.
Just cut out again, Liam, on mine.
Understand the game. Also, big football. So, yeah. So, you know what? You shouldn't be having to elevate us. You need to elevate yourself. And great start today. You scored 2 goals. You showed a lot of energy in the middle of the park. You showed a lot of willingness to play for the ball. And then just wrap out that last part of your game and you'll do great, son.
Timmy Bing, if Pam turns up and there's only 23 likes, she will flip. You are absolutely right, Timmy Bing. We have 106 live in the chat. We need to get those likes up. Let's get the likes up to 50 so that, because I've already got Phil in my case. And I've got Phil in my case. I just do not want Pam on my case. I just could not cope with that. So let's get the likes up to 50. So we've made the breakthrough, starting to relax a little bit. Then I think one of the best moves of the game results in Yang firing a ball across. Inamura makes, for me, and I'm not making a comparison. I'm not saying he's anywhere near as good, but he made a Kyogo-like run across his defender to the front post and got in front of him, got the shot away, and he was only a whisker away from getting his first goal for Celtic. Really, really good moment. I'd love to have seen him score because I thought he put a lot into the game. I wasn't surprised to see him starting, even if Arameda had been fit, because and again I go back to my conversation with David. Myself and David on Wednesday night, we were trying to work out a plan of how we're going to go to Kazakhstan and get a result. And one idea that I had would have been to play kind of without the recognised wingers and maybe go with the searing pace of Yamada and Maida up front and play a little bit of a patient game and allow the Kazakhs to come out and come on to us and then hit them with the pace of those two guys on the counter attack. And I think it might be one thing that's maybe in the manager's mind is to start Shin because of the pace. But I think for him to start him on Tuesday night, he would have to start him today and get a good hour into his legs. So I wasn't surprised to see that. We're going to do a wee segment here after we've touched on the key moments and the 3 players we're going to look at today. They've already come out in the conversation because they were key components in today's game. So we're going to look at Shin, we're going to look at Ben Negrin, and we're going to look at Inamura. So the manager then starts to make the changes on 60. I wasn't sure if he would start to bring on the regulars because he did say Maida was struggling, so I thought he might try and leave him off, but he's not wanted to leave anything to chance. He's brought McGregor back on. He's brought Forrest on for McKeown, who I think was toiling a little bit. Then a little bit later, Kenny came on for Yang. Kenny made a decent contribution when he came on as well. Again, it's basic things, working hard, doing all the right things. They're absolute basics that you expect from Celtic players. But, you know, on Wednesday night, we didn't even see the basics from far too many players. But we get the second goal, Liam, and once again, it's Ben Negrin. Once again, he was involved in the build-up. When that ball breaks, he doesn't leave anything to chance. That's fucking, he's hit that. When he hits it, I'm actually thinking that's Rosette. What's he hitting it so hard for? Why is he not just place it in the corner? It's bang into the postage stamp. Excellent finish.
If that hits the post, Casper's catching it, you know. He absolutely drilled it and just nearly took the roof of the net in half. I mean, that's what you want to see. You know, I was worried he went it too close, but no, that's what you want. You want somebody that's going to be alert in the middle of that box and going to be able to snap at those chances and get a foot around it and find the corner, not just hit half the guy in front of him. So, yeah, same again. Just a wee bit tamer goal celebration, but at that point, still have to have a word with that. Yeah, I thought the ball for Yang, I thought Yang had a very good game. I thought Yang looked good today in a lot of things. If you've never
You're not allowed to say that. You're not allowed to
Yang
say
play
that on
before,
Celtic podcast.
I know. But you have to give him his credit where credit's due. It's not shite all the time. That's the problem. He's Jekyll and Hyde. You don't know which Yang you're getting. It's Yin and the Yang. It's like it's mystical.
That's the thing, Liam. With wingers, they're generally inconsistent. But with Yang, he is just inconsistently inconsistent. Do you know what I mean? There's times I look at him and I think there's such a player in there, and then the next time he gets the ball, he'll do something, and I'll just go, nah, do you know what? I'm full of shite. You're useless. Okay, away you go to Norwich or wherever it is that you're wanting to go. Yang first came to prominence in a pre-season, one of these sort of pre-season glamour tournaments in the Far East. I think it was where Tottenham were playing against whatever team Yang was at that time, and he absolutely tore the left back to bits. Absolutely tore him to bits in a pre-season game, to the point where Spurs were interested in him, and then other teams in England were interested in him. They've obviously then gone back and watched him again, and he must have put in the kind of standard Yang performance, and they never bothered with him. But sometimes you see him and you just think if somebody went to watch him on a going day, they would come home raving about him. Do you know what I mean? He's so frustrating, and I banged the Yang drum, and myself and Boise when we were on, Boise just wasn't having him at all, and I wanted the guy to do well because I felt that even when things weren't coming off for him, he always showed for the ball. Sometimes wingers, if they're not getting by their man, they'll hide and they'll not want the ball, and if they get it, the ball, they'll go for the safe option and play it back or play it inside. He never ever does that. Even if he's having a bad game, even if the crowd are getting on his back, every time he gets it, he tries to make things happen. He tries to take his man on, and I so wanted him to do well because I thought he had a great attitude and the key players in the game for me. And first one of those I wanted to look at was Inamura. So Inamura, we were told, was way off it. He was nowhere near the level defensively or in terms of physicality, and he would be going out on loan. Within a couple of days, he's starting an SPL game for us. That was a shock for me. In the pre-season games, I thought he looked a player. Now, he wasn't tested defensively, but I would have thought if you've got a player and you've got concerns about him defensively and you've got concerns about him in terms of physicality, the last team you want to expose him to is Livingston. Are you with me, Liam?
I am back now. I think.
What do you think of that? I was surprised to see him, given that this is a strange one from the manager, and it feels a little bit like he wanted to distance himself from the lads signing because he just looked at it, 250 grand from team at the bottom of the J League. I'm not putting my name to him. Then he seen him and he thought he looked decent. And he said that, to be fair to him, he said he surprised me. Then he went missing for a few games. Then he comes out and says he's nowhere near it. And then he starts the next match. I'm confused. I'm just confused about what's happening to this guy, because I haven't seen anything yet to tell me that this lad isn't good enough to play for us in the SPL. And I think he looks inventive. I think his use of the ball's good. He protects the ball. He's always looking to go forward. He's got some nice forward passes. And in the vast majority of SPL games, he ain't going to be tested defensively.
Yeah, I mean,
what's your thoughts on this lad?
I thought he was good. The first time I seen him, I thought he was really good. I thought he's okay. It was surprising because again there was no buzz around him because of the price tag and that, and also because he didn't come for a top team or something, or a guy with accolades like Daisen Maeda and that. No, but he's looked good. He's looked really good, and he's been surprisingly good. And it's been so good that I think there's not been a podcast that's not noticed it or remarked on that. How, in fact, this is a bit of a surprise for Rodgers to completely turn that before the Champions League squad to sort of doing it. That shows me he's playing games. And again, Rodgers, this is your second time back. It's like, why are we still playing games? Why are you playing these stupid games where, oh, look, I don't have the players, I can't do it. You're an elite fucking manager. Get yourself a grip and figure out the best place to play these players. If he's not one of your guys, too bad. You're stuck with him right now because you didn't go up to the board and tell them who you wanted. So you let them pick it for you. So you can't complain all the time when they're picking you. And when they come in, remember, we've all got eyes as well. So we're watching him play and we're looking at him. So I watched him involved in 3 goals today. All 3 goals was from a forward pass from him. So what are you not seeing? What are you not seeing, Rodgers? And I think he's part of the problem. I really, really think it's his luck's ran out. Sometimes I think you can be a very lucky player to get with the right teams and the right coaches and stuff. You play against players and you see guys, how's that guy not playing pro? Because it passed them by. I think it's the same with managers. And I think it goes the opposite as well, where you get hyped for something you've done previously, and that hype carries you through. And I don't think he's shown us anything that he can carry any team past 3 years. His tactics become predictable, and his management style becomes confusion. It talks out his arse so much and so much bullshit that you don't know what to believe or what not to. And right now, what we're seeing again is that, all right, is this him just bullshitting us again so that he can send a message to the management? You're his pal. They're your pals, Brendan. They're your mates. Just go and talk to them. Mike Nicholson's there 24 hours a day. Go talk to him. You shouldn't be having to send cryptic messages. And that's just a baffling one. It's confusing.
Yeah, we've got sort of. I think the guys in the chat are kind of agreeing. Like, I think for us to get someone who's going to offer more than Inamura, we're going to have to spend a bit of a wedge now. I'm just looking for the comment here. Someone's it was Edward was saying there's a rumor we're interested in a Boca Juniors left back. The last one we got from Argentina didn't do a lot for us, albeit he then went on to be the Brazilian League Player of the Year or something like that. Look, go back to Brendan though. I think he's bipolar because see some of the interviews that I've seen in the last 10 days. I was genuinely worried about him. I was thinking somebody needs to keep a watch on him 24 hours a day. And see this talking about people. There's people up here. There's people here don't like me. And everybody's going, who's he on about? Is he on about the fans that didn't accept him back? That's no, because he's won them over again. There might be 5%. I'd say there's maybe 1-2% that still don't forgive him for what he done. But I think he's won the rest over. I also think he's turned the whole thing round to such a point where everybody's now going, we understand why you left. And do you know what? If you do it again, we'd fully support you. We understand why. But he goes from tetchy and despondent and depressed. And the next one he does, he's as high as a kite. And he's talking about how he's got a great relationship with Michael and he's referring to Peter and Desmond. And I don't know. I've no idea. I genuinely think he's all over the place. I think his head's starting to go in a lot of ways. He always did talk pish. But he looks like a broken man 3 interviews out of 4. But then in the 4th one, he looks as if he's high as a kite. It's like he's took his medication just before he's gone on to that, and then like everything's okay, and then the next one will come round again, and you're concerned about him again. I've a couple of things here that I want to bring up. I know we're in the middle of the player watch, but there was a couple of little bits. There was a banner today, and then that just got me thinking about some of the old banners. I do like a banner. And so just when we're talking about Brendan, we've got this one, the infamous, "You traded immortality for mediocrity, never a Celt, always a fraud." So that was the banner just after he cleared off at the dark of night for Leicester City. I think now, if Brendan Rodgers stays with us, he's accepting mediocrity. And he said that himself. He said, "I'm not here to maintain. If they want somebody just to maintain, I'm not the manager. I want to push on." And I just like the irony of that one, because that's one that always stuck with me, because I agreed with that. He could have stayed and got the 10, and he would have been immortal. He would have been up there with the greats of Celtic managers. Mediocrity was going down to Leicester City, a team in the EPL.
I mean, yeah.
If he stays with us, he's accepting mediocrity now.
I think he might, Terry. I think he's implicit in the mediocrity. You know, I don't know what Rodgers' deal is. You know, is he getting a cut of the transfers? Is he getting a cut of the amount of money that it's not unusual for a management, right, to be given performance-based reimbursement, right? That, you know, if you cut wages or you cut, you know, proficiency, or you engage in proficiency and all that, we'll give you a cut of the profits. I don't know if that's any of the things, but my God, you know, I wish he would walk away, because we were talking about, it was a couple of new guys at the football today, and it was just like, this football's, you know, they don't like Brendan Rodgers' football. And I know there's a lot of people that can't be reminded of Ange. It triggers some sort of like Messiah complex in them, that somehow, you know, they know football better than everybody else. You know, but Ange Postecoglou, I think, is a much better manager than Brendan Rodgers. Ange reminded me of Iron Chef. You know, you throw him, 11 different ingredients, he'll figure out a formation or something to do it. Rodgers, I just think, is just more analytical. He has to sort and categorise, and I've got all my left wingers here and I've got my right wingers there. You know, and today was the first time you've seen any sort of creativity on his part about actually putting players on to try and improve the team, and like just in positions to give them a chance. And then you see him, just like the team reverts to that horseshoe, the 2-3 back passes. He reverts to the exact same team that does that.
Possession with no intent to supply.
Yeah, he resets himself. He resets himself to sort of like the lowest common denominator, the most homogenous tone, vanilla chips, vanilla ice cream, whatever it is what it is. And it's like all the joy and all the creativity is sucked out the game, because we're back into this thing where somehow controlling the game is better than going out to win the game. And I think that's a real problem in his philosophy. I think he's a control freak. And he likes the boys that go on, that play, that will run that same channel, that will show up in the wing, and they're hoping that 9 times out of 10, or at 1 time out of 10, there's going to be a spark of difference or creativity or breaking the ball or a player mistake that we can create into an opportunity. And that's not acceptable for Celtic fans. We were always about creating and making our own chances. When you watch the Jock Stein teams and Martin O'Neill teams and any of these teams as well, it was always about, Celtic was about creativity. I always seen us a more cavalier, team of the two. If you looked at us against Rangers, I always seen Rangers as John Gregg and Tam Forsyth and, like 6-studded boots and boot polish and, and just growling and all that. I remember my dad was arranged for a picture of a guy named Tiger Shaw, and all I noticed that like I had all these pictures of Rangers for the 40s and 50s, and they all had their fist clench. That was the difference for them. Celtic guys were smiling. They all had their fists clenched. And, I think we've got rid of a lot of the creativity that is desired to sort of like carry forward what we are globally, like, as a football institution, the same way Ajax or Barcelona, people like that are. The more we get away from the creativity, the more we lose our identity. And that's happening in the boardroom, and that's happening on the park. And I think Rodgers plays a big, big part in that. And I think, yeah, he is definitely implicit. And I don't like the idea as well that he's got this like 3-year deal where it's his choice where he sees it through. I'd still like to see, like, wait a minute, I'd like to see performance being an issue as well. And although, yeah, we've got 6 points out of 3 games, we've yet to be scored on. And I know those are all damning statistics and data for somebody that's being negative. But if you look at his involvement in the transfer window and what we're up against, those statistics don't lie. There's a lot of tension within the support. There's a lot of tension within the club right now because we don't look like we're trying to actually progress and move forward. We're doing great right now with what we have in is maintenance. But okay, show us you're beyond a caretaker. Show us what that elevation of Celtic is beyond maintaining Celtic. Because I'm not seeing it, Rodgers. Why are you not screaming and demanding players? And if they can't find them, how are you getting off the hook? Why are you not identifying players? I'm identified as 3 years of players for Japan. It looked like we've still been going. We probably still have more on the books he's identified. It's like, come on, Rodgers, like, you've been in the game a long time. Where's the players that you have a relationship? Where's the players you've scouted or you've seen progressing that you think would be a great fit for our club? Knowing that we have the money. If you identify it and you came out and said, yeah, I'll get behind this player. But no, you'd rather make it sound like it's no your fault and the English is no good and this and that. And he's not really fully involved. But he's paid to be involved. He's paid as an elite manager. And we've got to start showing some elitism.
Right. I do agree with some of that, Liam, and I disagree with some of it. I agree with the bit around the style of football. And what you've got to remember is Brendan Rodgers was a very young manager when he started managing. And he was one of the pioneers of the move to possession football and keeping the ball and recycling possession and all of that. And at that time, that was fine. That was groundbreaking because, English football was always looked at as an exciting league. But in terms of quality, it was always behind the Spain, the Italy, the Germany, the French. They were seen as more technical leagues. And then as the rules changed that allowed more foreigners to move and the continental players started coming in who were brought up in a culture where you retain the ball and you keep it and all that kind of thing. And Rodgers was a young coach coming through and he really bought into that and he had his teams keeping the ball and passing and retaining possession. And I think part of that is he talks about control. If you've got the ball, you're in control of the game. And the longer you have the ball, the less time your opponent has the ball. And if your opponent doesn't have the ball for very long, then they don't have an awful lot of time to create opportunities. I get all of that. Where I think he hasn't evolved is teams are now playing that possession game, but they're playing it at a higher pace and the ball is zipping around. You're doing the possession, but you're doing it fast. And it doesn't feel fast enough. Sometimes we're able to do it, but most of the time it's quite mundane and slow and predictable and pedestrian. However, the bit that I probably then come back at you is looking at his interviews and taking away the ones where he's a wee bit high. The vast majority of the interviews in the last 2 to 3 weeks where he's been asked about transfers, he is a broken man. And I'm going to bring up another banner here just because I like banners. And that one, I haven't brought up today's yet, but I'm working to it. This is one of the famous ones as well. Don't sleep at the wheel. We've got Dermot with his moustache. We've got Peter at the wheel. Many will suggest Peter's still at the wheel. Dermot's there in the passenger seat just to help him navigate in case he doesn't know where he's going. I think that's Lenny in the back seat. I would now say Brendan.
Maybe
Brendan,
Gary Stevens.
Brendan's not in the back seat. Brendan's in the boot. He's locked in the boot. He's got no input into where this club's going. He's in the boot and he's just being taken to a destination unknown, where I feel the guys that are driving the club are wanting rid of him. Now, I don't count Desmond in that. You probably replace Desmond in that graphic with Michael Nicholson. You've got Michael Nicholson and you've got Lowell. Michael Nicholson's meant to be calling the shots, but he's got this guy chirping in his ear all the time. And Brendan's in the boot, and they're just basically deciding when do they want to dispose of him and how do they want to do it. That's how I see it. And the thing, if Dermot Desmond hadn't got involved, Brendan Rodgers would never have been back to Celtic. This is just all my theory. What I know about the ingoings, the inner workings of the Celtic boardroom, you could write on the back of a full stop. But my theory is the guys on the board that do the day-to-day board stuff, they didn't want him back. He's a thorn in their side. He's a pain in their hole. They don't like him. When he talks about people not liking him, I think he's talking about those guys. It could be the media. It could be some of the supporters. I think he's talking about those guys. They don't like him. Dermot Desmond made that happen. He wasn't the one that they wanted in. Dermot wanted him, and he made it happen. He then said to everybody, you play nice. Brendan, you play nice. Get it all sorted. I'm away to fucking play golf in Dubai or do whatever I fucking do. And it was okay at the start. Nicholson promised, we're all changed. We're doing transfers differently. We're doing this. We're doing that. Let's get him in. Dermot wants him in. We'll deliver him. And then we're taking that box. That'll get us a wee bonus. I don't want to go into details about, everybody has seen the stuff about pace, not pay slips, but salaries and all that kind of muck. That I don't really bother with too much. But Dermot set them a task: get Brendan back, get him in place. That's what I want. They've gone and done it. They've promised them the world. The first window was a bit of a shambles, but Rodgers was just back in the door and he was happy to toe the line. The second one, we made signings at the very end, but we automatically qualified for the Champions League. Now, one thing I've got issue with, everybody turns around and says Engels, Trusty and Ada, they were Rodgers signings because they were big dough. All the rest weren't Rodgers signings. And I don't buy into that at all. I just don't buy that. I think he liked Ada, but I don't think he turned around and said spend 9 million on him. I've no doubt whatsoever Brendan Rodgers didn't come to the board and say, I've been watching a guy in Germany called Arne Engels and I want him in my team. He's been identified by the club. He's a club signing. The fact he cost 11 or 13 or whatever the fuck he cost, he was still a club signing. Brendan says he signs off on him, but at the end of the day, if he has no confidence in who they're going to bring or how many they're going to bring, he's just going to sign off on anybody just to fucking get players in the door. And I think that's where we're at with Jimmy Vardy now. I don't think for 1 second Brendan Rodgers has been trying to push to get Jimmy Vardy in, but I would say at this stage of the window, with nothing else looking to be anywhere near close, he's probably going, well, fuck me. At least if I get him in, at least I know he's got a good attitude and he'll give me X, Y, and Z. I genuinely, I think in this picture, Dermot Desmond's away over here, just round my R plate. He's off the picture. You've still got Lowell, he's pulling the strings, and you've got Michael Nicholson, but Brendan's not in the back seat. He's in the fucking boot, and those guys are just driving him to do away with him somewhere.
Worst nightmare, he's waiting for a bus, and this one comes along, I tell you.
This one comes along.
Just leave him at the bus stop. We'll pick him up.
What about this one? This was from the last time he was here. 10 in a row is not a project. Back Rodgers or lose him. You could put that up. You could put that back up today again, and it means the exact same thing, doesn't it?
I don't know. I don't know if he's got the same. I don't think the crowd is bought into him as much as we did last time. If you look at all the goodwill we had last time, it was almost 100% around the stadium. There wasn't anybody that wasn't liking Rodgers. We were having a lot of problems with his team selections in the last season, and that as well, that the team didn't look like it was getting refreshed, and that's it. It wasn't getting backed. But again, as well, you need some more forward thinking from your manager as well. Can't you just blame it all on the board? And I mean, I'm not saying give him any less blame, but I think he's got to be looked at as well. I said it last night. It's like one of the really shitty relationships of couples that, Christ, they shouldn't be together. All they do is fight. And Rodgers and this board, we've proved it before. I said it was like Jennifer Aniston, J-Lo and Ben Affleck. It's like they just looks good on paper and all that. I definitely get them back together, but fuck, it doesn't last because you know what? They just make each other miserable, and that's what I think happens with this board. And I don't know what it is with Rodgers. I think the days of a Rodgers guy coming in where he's just like this, like sort of like Tony Robbins type motivator that can come in and get better out of players and do it through, like mentality and tenacity and, like the way he likes to talk. But you watch that over 10 years or so and it's just bullshit. You said what he started to be like those very defensive teams. Glasgow Celtic is worldwide, recognised worldwide because we played the European Cup. We played against one of the defensive teams that completely locked up shop and all that. The Italian system, they tried to ruin football in the 1970s and 60s, and Celtic was part of that antidote that helped break that sort of like this rigorous formation where everything's all about defend. And it was the Celtic football and Jock Stein, Jimmy Johnson, all these players that changed the game so that all like expression and creativity and all that will always beat just tactics and and rigid formations and all that. And I think the game is starting to pass Brendan by because he's got the rigid formation down, but he's not evolved to the sort of like the attacking threat that you can create from that as well, like the quick turnovers, like the 1-2 passing, like more of like a laser passing to the channels and all that, but people not getting the ball at feet, but actually running into balls in space. We still don't do that. We still target balls at every player's feet. Where if you look at elite teams like now. Chelsea, an example in that World Club competition, they were hitting balls into space and players were running into those balls. We're so trained that everyone's just going feet, and then we try and do it. When we do have success, it's when we're moving balls into space and, you see what happens then. And, that's why he does, such a mannequin, as you say, because...
I feel bad. I'll go to hell for calling him a mannequin. Ian McIntosh, you win the internet for the whole week, and that's the best comment ever. The thing is, Liam, I don't think Rodgers is without flaw. I think he's got lots of flaws, but I also think that I think he's a winner. Liverpool fans would disagree. He was almost a winner. I think he's a winner, and I think that he is one of the best managers that we could possibly attract. I also think he's in a different stage in his life where I don't see him back in the EPL. I don't see the teams in the EPL wanting him anymore because I think they've evolved beyond Brendan. But I also think that he probably doesn't long for the EPL anymore. He's blatantly come out and said he wants to be here as long as everyone wants to make Celtic the best version of Celtic. Now, I don't think that means necessarily that he stays.
I don't think.
But I think what he's very, very cleverly done this time is he has teed everything up that if he doesn't stay, nobody will blame him. But I genuinely think he's at a stage in his life, the money's been made. He's done the EPL. He's been successful at Leicester. The 2 high league positions that he got with Leicester, that was phenomenal.
Really?
He was a slip from a certain ex fraudulent manager away from winning the EPL. I don't think he longs for that anymore. I think he could get jobs in China or Saudi and make more and more money. I genuinely think he's at a stage in his career where he's comfortable and he's at the club. I have absolutely no doubt this is the club that he supported. I know everybody comes in and goes, I supported Celtic and I did this and I did that. I don't know him. I don't know his family, but I know a lot of people who do know his family, and they are absolutely diehard. And there were people in his family that fucking stopped speaking to him because of how he left the last time. So I've absolutely no doubt he's a Celtic fan. He's also a professional person trying to make the best career for himself. But I think he's just hit that point where he's not longing for other things anymore. He's kind of at that stage where he's thinking retirement is at this point in the future. I'm very comfortable here. I love the country. I love the environment. I love the club. It's the club of my dreams. I'm managing the club that all my family and friends support. But I still think he wants the ambition to be matched. And he isn't getting that in any shape or form by these 2 fucking dickheads. Look at the state of them. They're sitting there with their hands over their mouths like they haven't a fucking Scooby. That was from the other night. And, penny for their thoughts. Look at them. There's guilt. To me, the 2 heads are just guilt. They're just sitting there going, he was fucking right. We're underprepared. What are we going to do now? Is it any fucking surprise, Liam, that in the last 3 days from that result, we've had more transfer tittle than we've had in the last 2 months, and there was a rumor that Nicholson was in Belgium trying to get a deal done. And see the names that we're talking about now, vast majority of them are the same names that we were talking about in May and June, and those guys should all have been in, and those guys know that. Nicholson, Lowell, they absolutely know that. I don't know. There's something just completely stinking about what's going on at the club, and anyway, let's not focus on that because we've done that bit. I think did I have one more picture I wanted to bring up? Yeah, I wanted to bring up today's banner, didn't I?
Yeah, what was
bring up today's banner? Zero ambition, neglect team, world class, stroked out, basic board. There had to be something today.
Could have been
I thought that was a bit tame. I was expecting something a bit more aggressive, albeit the standing section they're on a suspended sentence, so they probably don't want to risk that. I'd imagine as soon as that suspended sentence term runs out, you might get something a wee bit more vociferous from those guys. But zero ambition, 100%. Neglect the team, 100%. Basic board. I don't even know if they're basic. They're substandard. I think they're substandard. What's your thoughts?
On the board? Substandard. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know where they're at right now. I really don't. You see them sitting there, and it's like they look like they're surprised by this. I think that's what happens when you live in an insular world. They must all just be like talking each other up the whole time that they're about. What a great job they're doing. And yeah, the bank balance is great, but it makes you wonder, so who did you hire for recruitment? And this is where communication would come in. Every podcast is exhausted it. As people are saying that nobody's challenging the board, every single podcast right now is challenging the board. Everybody's asking these questions. But you got to wonder, it's like, okay, so what is the recruitment process? Like, if they're doing something that's just so completely broken and it's under no scrutiny, it's like, where's the sense of like, where's the hierarchy within the company? Like, who do you answer to when something like recruitment isn't sufficiently delivered to, what your job description actually tells you you're supposed to do? And right now, it just doesn't seem to. We came out of that game, and I put it up on our WhatsApp, Terry. It was like, oh, so we've offered, it's like, they went, throw another 50 grand on whatever we've got out there right now, the two wingers, and say we've came in with an improved offer. Because that's what it sounded like. And, Balakishwa, now we're flying out to Belgium to meet with his entourage. That was the words he used, his entourage. So to discuss personal terms. And it's like, so, first of all, anybody that's meeting an entourage right now, that's massive red flag. I got ball and golly vibes for that.
Every player has it though, Dave. Do you know what I mean? They've got their advisors, their families.
But you know what? There was one thing that like in Ange's season when he was talking about player recruitment. You had a sense that Ange, when he talked about, getting in a guy with Matt O'Reilly, I know he didn't get his first choice, but as soon as he wasn't interested, bang, we moved on to Matt O'Reilly. And when he went and met with Matt O'Reilly, and I think the first thing he told us about was not what type of player he was, but he told about the character of the boy. That the boy had a plan, that the boy had a discipline within himself, that he knew where he wanted to be and how his trajectory was going to evolve. And he knew how Celtic was going to be a part of that. And with Ange, they were able to put that together. Right now, going after a guy like that we have to convince. I mean, we can't convince a guy for Rapid Vienna. It's not even a first choice winger. We're out there now. It's like, how far is the club fallen at this point? You've got a big bank account. You don't have to be on your hands and knees for this guy because there should be other people identified. I mean, how many £5 million wingers are there out there right now that don't have a contract? If you do your due diligence, you should have a list about 4 or 5 of them, and the quality in them at that level should be like balanced. With the magic level of the boys that can move to that next level, those are the diamonds in the rough. But they're all sort of the same guys in the same area. And you just got to make sure, okay, if you don't get the first one, you go to the second one. Because you need to be having that sort of a strength of depth in your recruitment. And we don't have that. It looks like we're lacking in any depth whatsoever everywhere in the entire club.
Yeah, just before we go on, this is really embarrassing. I was going to turn my camera off because I always have the optic going whenever I'm doing the focus. We see this. My wife doesn't allow me to do the liter bottle anymore. We see this. She's got me like a kid's bottle. Look at all the size of it. It's a wee tiny bottle, and that's all I'm allowed. So she says if you're on the bigger bottle, that's it. I'm out. So I'm in an awful predicament in a minute because I've got Phil telling me I'm one mistake away from being off the pod, and I've got my wife telling me I'm one vodka away from being out of the house. It's a very, very tricky time to be me. I'm just away to get my mixer here.
Oh, mate, I'm waiting to go back to the depot, get all my technical notes. It's like somehow, I don't know if I did something wrong, but iPad did something wrong.
It's a very difficult time to me. We've got all the stress of Celtic. You've got the stress of Phil being on your fucking back, and you've got the stress of the wife being on your back. It's a very difficult time. I could do with Celtic just making things a wee bit easier for me.
There a wee conspiracy theory. You think Mike Nicholson, the board, had a word with their pals at StreamYard and figured, you know what, let's get some glitches in this weekend. I don't want them talking about us. And, seems like every podcast has a wee sort of gremlin going about right now trying to mess up.
I think Phil's in there. I think Phil and Nicholson and them boys, I think they're all in together. Phil's part of the boys club with them. No, right, Liam. So we've started to touch on transfers there a little bit. I had it penciled in just to finish off. But let's just focus on the transfers now. Then we'll go back to the other two players that I wanted to look at, and then we will give our thoughts on Kairat. We were going to do an hour. We're an hour and 20. Are you okay to do another 10, 15 minutes?
Right, I'll go as long as you want.
Aye. many girls have you told that to over the years?
Yeah, let's find it.
Right. Okay. So transfers. It looks like Balikwisha, after 2 years of chasing, is about to be done. I did make reference to a very funny comment from Michael Gannon of the Daily Record. I mentioned it when I was on with David. He says, by the time this guy signs, his first match will be his testimonial because they've been chasing him that long. I thought that was comedy gold. Comedy gold. So he looks done. You've then got, I might get the name wrong, Jacob Braham. He looks like number 2. This is the Go Ahead Eagles guy whose club have tried to embarrass us. There is also a scenario where we could end up playing them if we end up in the Europa League, but we don't want to talk about that. And the other, well, there was 2 other wingers being mentioned. There was Biskov, who's gone a bit quiet, and the one that's just came to prominence in the last week or so is Calvin Stengs, who is a Dutch international who absolutely played a blinder against us for Feyenoord in the away game when we played them in the group stage. A lot of injury issues. He is the kind of player that would get me excited in terms of his level. It feels like we may sign 2 out of, if we include Biskov, I think I've got his name right, I think we're going to sign 2 of those. So Balikwisha is 1, and it'll be 1 more of Biskov, Stengs, and Jakob Braham. That'll be 2 wingers coming in. You've got Daizan, who can play on the wing. You've got Yang and Forrest. You might even see Yang move on then, because that seems to be what he wants to do. And I'd imagine if we get reinforcements in, the club will allow that to happen. If we bring in 2 of those wingers, I would love to bring in 3, actually. I would love to bring in Balikwisha, Stengs, and Jakob Braham, and then move Maeda to centre forward. That's the way I would play it. I would pile up the wingers and move Maeda into the middle, because I just don't see us signing a centre forward who is going to be better than him. The other side of that is you sign 2 and you then sign a centre forward. If we're going to sign a centre forward, I think it's either going to be you buy Strelic, who again has been linked for years, or you bring Vardy in as a short-term option and you kick the can down the road. I'm not sure about Strelic. I haven't seen this, and it tells me he's the answer. If it came to a choice between those 2, Vardy and him, do you know what? At this stage, whilst I was against Vardy for 90% of the summer, I'm now at the stage where we ain't getting anybody fucking better. I would take Vardy for a year. Fuck it. And I know it's short-termism, but we've known for 12 months Kyogo was going, and we've come up with nothing. And I think it's one of them ones. I think it's Brendan doing the same as he did when we couldn't get a goalkeeper in after Joe Hart giving us his notice, and he got the mobile out and he got Schmeichel in. I would take Vardy at this stage. I genuinely would. I would. And then you're hoping out of. I would punt Ida. If I could get anything for Ida, I would punt him. And then you're just hoping between Kenny and Shin that one of those 2 comes good, and you've got Daizan as first choice, you've got Jamie Vardy coming on as an impact, and you've got one of Shin or Johnny Kenny developing quite quickly and being your 3rd option. That's how I see it playing out. Left back is probably the only other place I see somebody coming in. I've no kind of inkling on who that might be. Right back, because we've lost Johnson, I think there's a thought that we might bring someone in there. Who did we bring in? There was a link with, what was the guy's name? Max Johnson. There's a bit of a link with him that he might be available for 2 mil. There was one other one I was thinking about, and I was just thinking about it completely short term. There's no links with him. It's just me thinking, is there someone we could bring in short term? And it was the it was Stephen O'Donnell, who's at Motherwell, who did play right back for Scotland, and I don't know if you could get him. I mean, could you get him in a short term? You know, you'd have to make it appealing to Motherwell to let him come on loan. I don't know. I'm just thinking Johnson's obviously going to come back and be your first choice. Ralston's a more than capable deputy, albeit, do you really want him playing the majority of your Champions League campaign? Saying that, do you really want Max Johnson or the guy that I just mentioned there, Stephen O'Donnell? It's a really difficult one. It's a very untimely one with Johnson, because it's only last week you and me were talking about Johnson and Tierney bombing forward like peak Cafu and Roberto Carlos for Brazil. Do you know what I mean? And now half of that's gone, but it is what it is. You're going to get injuries over the season. Do you think it? I don't think anything will happen until after the Kairat match. I don't think there'll be anybody announced until after that game. And it shouldn't be like that. It shouldn't be. It depends on the result of that match, whether we're going to sign A, B, C, D, or E. We should have signed A, B, C, D, and D at the end of June, start of July, to make sure that this match became a formality. The fact that we're scratching about and it's dependent on this result who we can go for. It's fucking absolutely embarrassing. I read Sutton's column today in the Record, and he goes, if Celtic fail to qualify for this with all that money in the bank, it is just absolutely fucking ridiculous. Anyway, long story short, what's your thoughts? What do you think will happen in the remainder of the window? Now, you and me talked last Friday about a big 2 weeks, and the best case scenario was we got through against Kairat, we signed 3 or 4 first team players, and we beat Rangers in the first Glasgow derby of the season.
I mean, all that could still happen.
It could,
but there's no clues. There's no any crumbs. There's no any light at this tunnel that actually will. I've never been in a season where there's been so little rumours that, you know, all you've got is that, you know, Balakishwa, Broom, and I can't remember who the other ones were, but it seemed to be focused on it and Jamie Vardy, and that's it. Usually you get those rumours and they last for 2 or 3 days and then they go away. These ones keep coming back up, and there's nobody to replace them. There doesn't seem to be anybody else that we're looking at. There's nothing with any sort of imagination or that like, I'm looking for all those players right now that want a spot in a World Cup team. Is that what we're waiting for? Because a lot of them are available now. I keep going on about Diego Luna. Diego Luna is an American international that they see as the next big thing, and he wants to get on a team that he can play Champions League football with, to sort of give himself a profile and a platform so that he can get onto that really competitive USA team who's playing on home ground. So naturally, that would be like an amazing incentive to get a player that can play halfback, can play in the half line, and he can play on the wing, that's got like a creative spark and an energy to him that's getting talked about. And that wouldn't break the bank. We could get him for like 6 to 8 million even, maybe even cheaper. And so it doesn't seem to be that, like, I don't know, where's the creativity and the spontaneity to make this team better, that even if we do go to the Champions League, we've not been rumoured with anybody that's going to come in and say, right, okay, I want to play with Celtic, I want to make this my platform. Because you don't know if Rodgers is going to play them or no. He's just a frustrating coach. I thought Arne Engels was poor today, but I expect he's probably going to start Arne Engels on Tuesday for some reason. I really, really don't get it. And do I think we're going to splurge it if we get to the Champions League? We might just finalise the players we're already after. And honestly, and if it's Balakwisha is what comes in, I'm really underwhelmed. I'm underwhelmed at the entire process, that everything that we have at our disposal to identify and recruit players, that the best we can come up with is a guy that we had to go and talk to his entourage first. That doesn't sound like Celtic to me.
Lot love for Pam in the chat. You do realise you've called this guy, you've called him 3 different names on the one pod.
I don't care. Honestly, I don't want to have to learn his name. You know, I've got Bolingoli right. I've been no bad with the names. I've got the Japanese guys okay. Got to give me a pass in that one.
I know, right? I'm still going to work them on the premise, right? Wisha, the W comes first. Wisha.
Okay, Wisha. Like Wishy.
I give you totally. I'm wishing that Plan A still comes to fruition and we get through on Tuesday night. I'm going to go out on a limb. I think we qualify. I think we get the job done. I think we go and win 2-0. Now, what was interesting, and obviously we know what the record is out there. It's not great. Scotland have lost out there. Aberdeen lost out there. Celtic have lost out there twice and drawn once, or 2 draws and 1 defeat, whatever it is. But I think the landscape's slightly different here, because with this game, we know we must go and win. With the other games, we were going there for the first leg, or we were going for the second leg and we were already 5-0 up. This is the first time we're going there knowing we must win this game either in 90, 120, or in the dreaded spot kicks. So I think that changes the landscape a little bit. So it's very, very clear. It's also very exciting. And I know we're on a negative because we blew the home leg, but our team, our club that we love, are playing a match on Tuesday night, and it's winner takes all to get into the group stages of the Champions League. So there's still plenty to look forward to there. And I'm still confident that we will get the job done. It'll be a different game. I don't expect them to come out all guns blazing, because I don't think they've got that in them. And I think if they do that, it's suicide and we'll pick them off. But I do think the manager is going to have to find a way of pricing them out. So maybe not us doing the whole gung-ho and trying to dominate possession. I think we might have to coax them out a little bit of cat and mouse, coax them out and then get in behind them, because they are well organised. They are, the defence is well drilled. That goalkeeper missing out, I think that's a big one. Now it's not confirmed, but the goalkeeper that played most of the game and then got hurt and went off, the rumour is he's been ruled out. I think that would be massive. That lad that came on, he was shiting himself coming on. That was his first game in Europe. And you've got to remember as well, 40 million on the line. This is a high pressure environment. How many high pressure games have those players played in? Do you know what I mean? Celtic do play in high pressure games on a much more regular basis than they do. I looked at the betting there, and Celtic are 1-3 to qualify. So essentially, if this match was played 4 times, the bookies feel Celtic will qualify 3 times and Kairat will qualify once. So it's still in our favour. I'm hoping, and I'm relatively confident that we can get this job done. There's a lot of things against us. The weather's against us. The travel's against us. The altitude's against us. But do you know what? We're going there. It's 11 against 11. And let's get the fucking job done. And then we'll worry about the transfer window. And then we'll worry about Rangers next week. I was trying to look at it as a sort of 3-pronged attack. Kairat Almaty, good strong end of the window. Rangers, I think we now just need to break it down into small chunks. And the first chunk is get that fucking European game done. Then what can we do in terms of players? And then can we go to Ibrox and fucking bury them? I mean, tomorrow will be an interesting one just to have a wee eye on what's happening across there, because St Mirren away is a very, very difficult fixture for them. And it would be very, very ironic if they cancelled the fixture and then decided they wanted to play it and then fucking lost it. That would be that would be very, very funny. I would love that. But anyway, enough about that. Let's try and bring it to an end then, Liam. So we've touched transfers, we've touched Kairat Almaty. Just to finish Kairat Almaty, I think we'll go through. Yes or no answer. Do you think we'll go through?
Yes.
Good. Okay. Let's rewind then and just cover off the player watch for the final two players that I wanted to look at, and then we'll call it a day. I really, really appreciate your time. We're an hour and a half in. We've still got 100 live. We've been steady 100 live now for the last 45 minutes or so. And again, appreciate once the game's over, there's hundreds of pods that you could all watch. So for those that choose to watch us, I don't know why you're doing it, but fair play to you. Like, subscribe, do the bell, share, tell your friends, all that kind of jazz. So the last two players then that we're going to look at, first one is Inamura. So he gets his first start. We've already touched on him. Thought he looked lively. I liked a lot of the runs that he was making. He was very unlucky not to score with an opportunity. Where is he, Liam, where is he in terms of the pecking order? What do you think of his performance today? It's the first time we've had a proper look at him. He came on and played in the pre-season game fleetingly. He's a couple of cameo appearances. This was his first start. What did you think of his performance? Where is he in the priority level? Does he start on Tuesday night? What's your thoughts?
Honestly, like it's hard not to look at him and then like compare him to Kyogo, right? Of what he's got as far as attributes. He's just not delivered with the results yet in the big finish. You know, Kyogo was able to hit the ground running with us really, really quickly and stretched. He looks like he's a very similar type player. He just hasn't had the luck yet or just the fortune to bury one. I think
that's interesting in itself, because I read a report when he was coming across and they said he's nothing like Kyogo, but all I see in terms of his movement is Kyogo.
I mean, it's lazy just to compare them because they're both in Japan and all that.
Of course.
They do have that robustness that drags players and moves it, and it's like that little stutter run, like they sprint into the space, you know. Whereas like something like Ida, he tries to muscle himself into a space, you know, and gain the physical ground, but they just sort of like nip in and grab that space, and that's what I've seen with him. And as I was seeing today, there was a lot more balls that were being played that were coming through into that channel of where you take the goal kicks from, that wee part of the corner. And he was running in, he was anticipating, and he was moving into that stuff. And I think it's like Kyogo, you know, once we get a proper relationship going with him and different players. I mean, remember that pass with Jota when we were playing that European Champions League game where Jota got it down in the corner, turns around, sees the wee man moving towards the centre circle, hooks a shot and a half volley. And I think it was one of the goals of the tournament.
Thank for us. It was my favourite goal. I said that was my favourite goal of the season. It was unbelievable.
Yeah,
unbelievable.
Because again, it was everything that showed you that was okay. You were starting to see relationships forming. Like, all right, these are two good players picking up in each other's moves. We've yet to see that, I think, with Shin, because again, we've not had Kyogo was the starting centre forward. He was the guy that we played everything. So people got to learn and anticipate their moves and then start like looking for knowing that he'd probably be moving in that direction. I think we need that learning curve with Shin. And again, that's what the pre-season's for. That's what a lot of these games are for, that when we play. Like, we want to be able to get up on a team and then bring these guys in so that we can start developing how they play, not just in training, but in a real game. Because again, I don't believe there's players that I think that are probably absolutely amazing in training and they don't show up when it comes to the game. Arne Engels is probably one of those guys. And it is. I was fantastic at training. In the real game, I wasn't as good. Could tell. I don't know what it was, but I was so much more relaxed. But the pressure and stuff of playing in a real game and all that, it would take away about 10-15% of what you do because it's just pressure and stress and I don't know, physicality, whatever, you know.
And quality Quality control are on. We really need to be careful here. Quality control on Pam. Okay, I'm going to put you on the spot then. Who starts centre forward on Tuesday night?
I thought Johnny Kenny looked good, but I would if I'm looking for a star, it has to be Daizan Maeda. Honestly, Rodgers, what are you thinking?
Okay, so let's go Daizan. So what does the rest of the team look like? Because we've no wingers.
Well, I thought Negrin put on a pretty good shift on the wing.
On the right, yeah. So what do you do on the left then? Are you Yang or Forrest starting on the left?
I'm going to be Yang at that point. Or, you know what? Change the tactics. I'm surprised he didn't try. We got play with 2 centre forwards and then 5 in the middle.
So if you play with 2 centre forwards, who is it?
Daizan and Johnny Kenny. I think they two would be right.
I can't see him change his formation because he just hasn't done. If I was playing with 2 up front, I'd be going with Shin and Daizan and just going for absolute blistering pace on the break. He won't do that. It'll be the same formation. He won't change the formation. So what?
If you have the 2 up front, then you've got more guys in the middle of the park. You establish dominance there, and so you can play that game at your halfway line, and then you've got 2 guys that you can hit a release ball to that are on both channels.
But the manager's not going to do that, Liam. He ain't going to change it. He's not changed it at any stage. He's never played with 2 up front. He's always stuck to the same formation. He's not going to change that in one of the most important games of his tenure. I get the arguments for doing it, and I would be supportive of doing it. He's going to play the same formation. So I think the question is who plays centre forward, who plays the 2 wide areas. And again, one thing that I said to David was, if you go Daizan through the middle, could you then play Negrin on the right a little bit as he played today? He's not out in the touchline. He's an inverted right. Could you then play Hatate on the left as an inverted player? And you're giving yourself I think that this option gives you a real chance to take control of the game because you're getting a lot of your midfielders on. And the midfield area is the one area where we're well stocked with quality. And could you get, and this won't happen by the way, Hatate as an inverted winger on the left, Negrin as an inverted winger on the right, and you still then in the middle can have McGregor, Engels, and either McKeown or Bernardo. I think that looks like a really, really solid team to go and play an away match in, where you've got McGregor on there, you've Engels on there, you've Hatate on there, you've Negrin on there, and you've got one of McKeown and Bernardo, real solid. And then you've got Daizan as your main player through the middle. Again, I don't see it happening, but if I was picking the team and trying to find a way to take control of this second leg, I would be thinking something like that. I think the manager will just stick with what he's done. If he went Daizan through the middle, I think he would go Forrest on the right and Yang on the left. I can't see him doing that. I think it'll be Daizan on the left. I think he might go Negrin on the right. I think he might do that one. But then that leaves the big question. Who is the centre forward? Assume he does out. You're then left with Shin and Kenny. And I think the reason he started Shin today was because he intends to start Shin on Tuesday night.
I think he wanted to see movement. I think he needed to see movement within there.
I want to see goals. I'm happy with movement. His movement was great. I want to see fucking goals. I want to see strikers putting the ball in the
and Johnny Kenny. Then Johnny Kenny's your guy. I mean, that ball that he picked up at the halfway line where he actually had to battle with the defender, and that was a really good physical battle that he managed to outpower him, get the ball in front of him and take it over. And we scored for the corner off the corner sort of that created. And I thought that was a turning moment for him when he came on, that you see that he had that muscle and he had that power to blow by a fullback. Now, we could have used that on Wednesday night. We had their fullback was on a yellow card within about 9-10 minutes. You know, and to have that sort of drive where somebody has like that has to pull you down, I mean, I thought he looked really good. I thought the way he took his goal reminded me of Big Georgie Giacomakis. I thought that he took it really well. And I thought Kenny was looking quite good. I was surprised that I think Kenny's actually taller or bigger, more physical than Ida. For some reason, I always thought he was smaller, but whatever he's done in pre-season, he's come back looking like an absolute unit. And I do like to see some guys playing with Celtic with a bit of physicality. And I'll just mention one player, Terry. I know we're going to shut this off soon, but Cody Sullivan, it comes on, looks an absolute unit, by the way. I saw him start to Dane Murray, and I think he's actually...
Donovan.
You know?
Colby Donovan.
No, is it
What do you say, Ronnie O'Sullivan?
Yeah, honestly. I'll put on my glasses.
You're worse than Brendan with the names. Did you hear him absolutely butcher Lamine Yamal's name the other day?
No.
Did you not hear it? Oh, fuck's sake. It sounded as if it was Rick Mayall. Do you know you're a guy from Bottom, the comedy?
Yeah, I thought it was Terry. Honestly,
he got his name totally back to front. He called him You Mean Lamal instead of You Mean Lamal. the best footballer in the world, and Brendan doesn't even know his name. It was right back there with Yoto. Do you remember Yoto? Fuck Yoto.
I've got about 40 his CDs, but up to about 3 years ago, I always thought it was Jamaraki. Jamiroquai. Just learned that. 3 years ago, I learned that. Jamaraki. I thought it was Jamaraki for ages. Anyway.
Do you know one of my most embarrassing ones? When I was a kid, like I used to talk about Kilmarnock.
Kilmarnock. I did this in the podcast before. Sometimes you get
Kilmarnock.
You get Canadian sportcasters doing Scottish football, and it's Aloha Athletic. And then my favourite was always San Moran. San Moran. That's fucking great. But
right.
when I first moved to Toronto, I had a friend from Belfast, and we were looking for the records and all that. And he was asking me if I'd ever heard of humming Lagiges before. I go, humming Lagiges? What are you talking about? I looked at it, but it was all spelt as one word, Human League. Belfast, there, mate. Belfast.
Right, we're still 85 loyal punters on the bus, so
crazy.
Numbers are dwindling a little bit, but thank you very much to everyone who's listening live. Thank you very much to everyone who watches back on repeat. I've got one more player on the player watch, and that is us done for tonight, and it is the main man from today's performance, Benjamin Negrin. Take it away, Liam.
Great game. Shite goal celebrations. Just, balance it out, mate. I thought he looked lively. I thought he looked like he was wanting to win. You can see there's a good player there. You know, as well, too, he was a halftime interview with Callum Osmond or whatever, and honestly, Celtic TV's got to wrap them. They were talking about what time, you've got a game, it's like, it's 1-0. You want to keep the flow going and all that, and you break it down with an interview with Benjamin Negrin when they're talking about if they like to have naps and go-karting and stuff like that. And it's like, honestly, I don't know what Celtic football TV's doing, but I thought he played really well. I thought he was great. Yeah, my only downside is like calm down the goal celebrations. Have a word with somebody that's been at the team. Callum, Tony Ralston, anybody like that. Just tell him, wrap that shit.
I'll give you my thoughts on him. I think he's come in, and he came in, albeit he wasn't a big money signing. I think the fact that he only had 6 months left, and people looked at his pedigree, and you knew he was going to come in. He was a Swedish international, which is always a decent level. I felt people were maybe bigging his performances up a little bit too much. I was looking at some games and going, do you know what? He didn't do a lot there. I was looking at the game on Wednesday night and I was thinking, do you know what? He didn't do a lot there. I think before today, there's been games where he's shown promise, but there's also been games where he hasn't had an awful lot of influence. But today, I thought he was absolutely superb. And I don't think I would like us to utilise him on the right hand side, and I think I've seen enough in the games that he's been here. We lost a hell of a lot of goals with Nicholas Kuhn. Obviously, we lost a lot of goals with Kyogo, but he was a centre forward. But for Nicholas Kuhn, the goals and assists that guy got last season left a massive gaping hole in our team that we haven't been able to replace yet. I don't expect Negrin to be playing outright all the time, but I think he gives us an option. He doesn't have the pace. Again, I said this about Forrest during the week. Forrest doesn't have the pace to go on the outside. Negrin doesn't have the pace to go on the outside, but Negrin's left-footed, which means when he comes on the inside, he's a lot more dangerous than James Forrest coming on the inside, because James is coming across, but he's not a goal threat because he's on his wrong side. But Negrin coming in from that side, he's on his right side to get shots away, get passes away. He's very, very clever. Aside from his 2 goals today, a lot of clever, intelligent stuff in and around the box. He's a very, very intelligent footballer. I think he can contribute massively to the goals and assists that we're missing from Kuhn. But he needs support. But can you imagine if we can get... Imagine we got 3 out of Balagwisha, Broom, Bishkov, and Stengs. And again, I haven't... The only one of those players that I've seen play a game properly is Calvin Stengs. And he ripped us apart that night. He genuinely did. But I've seen enough. I've watched enough clips to know that the other guys are of a reasonable level. See if we can get 3 of those players in, and then you've got Ben Negren pulling the strings. I think things start to open up, and then you've Jota coming back in January. I don't think we'll get 3 of them. I think we'll definitely get Balagwisha. I think we'll get one of the other ones. If we hold on to everybody else, I'll probably take that at this stage. It's not what I wanted. It's not what my heart was set on for the window. But I think if we get 2 of those 4 wingers and we don't lose Daizan and we don't lose Hatati, we don't lose anybody else, I'd probably settle for that right now, to be honest with you. But Negren was excellent today, and he's only going to get better. He's only going to get better. He's still a young guy. He's not a kid. He's early 20s. He's got lots and lots of experience. He's come in and he looks like a Celtic player straight away. But you've got to remember, he's only in the door. 6 months down the line, he could develop a hell of a lot. So in terms of today, he was the Celtic Park man of the match. He is my Boss Home man of the match. And all that remains is for me to say thank you very, very much, Liam, for joining me today. We're almost 2 hours. Thank you to everyone who's been on during the course of the last 2 hours. Thank you to everyone who watches it back on repeat. We're a very new channel. We're in a very embryonic stage. We need viewers. We need subscribers. We need people hitting the notifications. The interaction in the comments is absolutely superb, and apologies if I sometimes forget about it. I am still learning to do the controls and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed this show, Liam. I enjoyed your input. I enjoyed the input from all the guys in the comments. Good result for Celtic. Hearts got a 3-3 draw at home to Motherwell. So we are officially top of the league. We're 3 wins out of 3. We won't get too excited about the game tomorrow at St Mirren Park. We'll keep it just we'll keep it in the back burner and just have a wee look in and see what's happening there. But all eyes turn to Kazakhstan on Tuesday night. We didn't get the job done in the first leg. I thought the manager made a great point because he talked about the Rosenborg game which probably was a 50-50 at that time because Rosenborg were qualifying for the Champions League on a regular basis. I was at Celtic Park the night we drew 0-0. We were dreadful, absolutely dreadful. One of the worst games I've ever been at. It was boring. It was just fucking bullshit. We never looked like scoring. It was 0-0. And I thought, we're out because every time we go to Rosenborg, Harold Batback scores and they beat us. And we went to Rosenborg and we won through a James Forrest goal. I think we go there on Tuesday night. We create history by winning there for the first time. The guys know what they have to do. I think we get the job done. I think that puts us into the hat for, I might be wrong, I think it's Thursday. And then attention turns to the first Glasgow derby of the season at the weekend. And I'm still hopeful, Liam. I was really despondent on Wednesday night. I knew when I was chatting to David, I felt negative. I looked at my face on the camera and I'm going, who's that guy there? He looks very despondent. That was me. I'm always the optimist, and you've just got to hope. With Celtic, you've just got to hope. And I hope we get the job done on Tuesday. I hope we bring in at least 2 of those 4 wingers that I've talked about. If we get a centre forward, brilliant. If we get a backup left back, brilliant. If we don't, I'm happy with Inamura. I'm happy to go Inamura, to be honest with you. If that's the case and he makes mistakes, somebody will go, "Oh, you were happy to go with him." We're gonna have all the possession in 75% of our league games this season. The manager said he's not ready defensively and he's not ready physically. He's just played against Livingston, who are the most physical team in Scotland, and he got through that okay. So yeah, do you know what? He might not be ready defensively, but if we're playing at home, we're going to dominate the ball, and he's not going to be asked defensive questions as long as Kieran Tierney can keep himself fit. And I want to see Kieran Tierney playing more than 60 minutes, to be honest. I mean, what's the story there? Let's get him fucking playing a wee bit more. But I'm optimistic, Liam. Bring it to a head. I'm optimistic. We're going to get through. We're going to bring in a couple of quality signings. We're going to go to Ibrox and get the job done. Are you in? Are you in with me?
I tell you, I'm in with you, Terry. I think we go out, we play to win, and then we control the game. Then you can control the play. But go to win it first. None of this trying to control the game first. You win it, then you can control it, and I'll be happy.
Mikey Cole, 8212. What do you think about the Huns going? I really don't care. I don't care what they do. I know we've been linked with Majovsky. Is he all that? He done the job at Aberdeen. Yes, he did. If Celtic go out and bring him in as their main centre forward,
Rangers looking at him, Terry.
I know that. Yeah, that's what Mikey's saying. But if that's our Kyogo replacement, I find that underwhelming. I really do. Could he come in and do a job? He could, no problem at all. But I don't care. I don't care what the Huns do. I've seen a bit of them. You keep an interest. You keep an eye on the opposition. I absolutely love the young lad in midfield, and they've stopped playing him. The wee guy, what's his name? Liam, help me out here. What do you call the wee lad in midfield?
Dundee?
No. The one they've brought through the ranks. He scored in the pre-season friendly against Bruges, and then he scored in one of the European games. Curtis. Right?
No.
What's his name? Curtis. Is it Curtis something?
He's Finlay
Curtis, is that his name?
Something like that, aye.
His name, help us out in the comments. Finlay Curtis. I think he's a cracking wee player. I genuinely do. I wish we had somebody like that coming through our ranks. But they've stopped playing him. They've stopped playing him because Russell Martin's under pressure and he doesn't want to rely on young lads. I like the left winger, Gassama. I think he could cause us issues. Again, we're thinking a week ahead at this stage, which is it's going to be a long week, but he could cause the problems up against Anthony Ralston. But see a lot of the other stuff that they've done in the window, I ain't convinced. They started that Champions League game during the week with, I think, their back five between the goalkeeper and the four defenders. I think three of them were loan signings and stuff like that. But you keep an eye on what they're doing. But I think they're in a very difficult position. And if we're sort of looking at this as being a big week for us, they're absolutely doing the same, because they've 1 foot out the trap door out of Europe. They've a very, very difficult match tomorrow, and we've already got the job done today. If that goes wrong tomorrow, they go out of Europe during the week, and then they're playing us at home next week. Yeah, they'll fancy it because they believe they've had a good record against us recently. If we go there and get the job done, all of a sudden, all the negativity of the last couple of weeks, we could be in the Champions League. We could bring in 2 or 3 quality signings. We could go to Ibrox and open up a massive lead. So it's great. It's really exciting, Liam. Do you know what I mean? It's really exciting. Like, so much of the last 20 years as a Celtic fan, you've kind of been, and people don't really like to admit this, especially when Rangers were down in the lower leagues, when they came back as a new club. I genuinely found a lot of that period boring, because you just knew we were going to win the league. And I don't know, without a challenge, it can get a wee bit stale. And I think it's brilliant that Hibs have started the season good. I think it's brilliant that Hearts have started the season good. At one point during the week there, I was actually saying, fucking hell, what's his name? Hugh Cavins. I was about to say Q Stevens. Hugh Cavins. He made the point last weekend that he felt Hearts and Hibs were ahead of Celtic and Rangers on form. And I goes, is that guy sniffing glue? But see, after I watched Rangers and Bruges and us against Kairat, I said, nah, Hugh Cavins is right. Hearts and Hibs at this point in time are better than us. Do you know what? See if we could get a league where you've got Rangers with this investment coming in and all that jazz, and you've got a really rejuvenated Hibs, who you've got to give the manager there a hell of a lot of credit. You've got Hearts with Tony Bloom in there, and do you know what? He's coming in and he's talking mad stuff like Hearts winning the league in 10 years and stuff. But this is a guy who is absolutely loaded with money, and he is extremely successful in all his business ventures, and he's a gambler, and he's got a lot of horses, and he does a lot of gambling on his horses, and he's successful as a gambler. He's going to take risks, and I expect Hearts to become very, very strong. He doesn't say that lightly. He's going to win the league in 10 years. He firmly believes that, and he's got a plan in place to make that happen. I think they will become a force. And it's all exciting for Scottish football, because, do you know what I mean? It's great to win. It's great to win the league every year and all that stuff. But there was a period there where you knew before a ball was kicked that you were going to win it, and there's not just the same satisfaction in that. But we're nowhere near that. We're at the start, Liam, of a very, very important week. I think this week defines our season. If we get put out on Tuesday night, it's going to be a fucking long drag of a season. I know we'll have the Europa League and all that, but it's not the same. It's not the same when you hear that music getting played in the Champions League and you're not there, and you know you should have been there because you're playing a team. I think, did I read today, St Johnstone were higher ranked in the coefficient than the guys that were playing on Tuesday night. We've got to get through that. Let's just break it down. It's a week. Let's get to Tuesday. Let's get Tuesday done. After Tuesday gets done, get the guys home, loads of rest. Fucking, do you know what would be good then? See if you were able to announce 2 signings round about Friday or Saturday. Not even to play in that game, just 2 signings. Like, see if Calvin Stengs was coming in the door, what a boost that would be. Even if he's not playing in the Rangers game, you've got a player like that coming in the door. That's a statement signing. So whilst we're all doom and gloom this week, and I've really been down on it, things can change. So we get through Tuesday, we maybe announce a couple of fucking good signings before the Rangers game. We go there. You don't know what, if it depends on their result tomorrow. If they get beat tomorrow, you're going there thinking we can bury their season. And you and me could be sitting here, or me and whoever comes on next Sunday, and the world could be a great place. It doesn't feel like it right now because of all the negativity and all that kind of stuff. But I'm an optimist, and I'm just pressing forward. We're going to get the job done on Tuesday. We're going to bring in at least 2 of those 4 wingers, and we're going to go to Ibrox and get the job done. And after that, it's high fives. Here we go.
Hail, hail.
Okay, thank you to everybody that stuck with us. Thank you, Liam, for joining us.
Thank you.
And we'll chat to you all during the week.
All right. Out.